Hey guys, it's Devon from Baka Burrito, and today for you I have 15 cards that I feel like every super budget and new player should have. The reason for this video is because I made a side comment about a certain card that will appear in this video in my Zombie World deck profile, saying that every player should have a specific card. And like I said, you'll see that card soon. And then it got me thinking, what are 5 spells, traps, and monsters that all, like, super budget players should have? And I'm talking, like, all of these cards are under $1. And to go one further, all of these cards are, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, are under 50 cents as well. All of them have the potential to teach players card interactions and the way to better their game, and they all have corresponding cards that are better than them in the actual meta, or actual expensive cards that are more expensive than these versions, but they do teach you the mechanics of those cards. So just because they're a budget version doesn't mean like obviously they don't compete in a complete one for one with those completely budget cards. But if you just want to like put the cards in the deck and have the ability to use something similar, I think these cards are a pretty good starting point. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the first group. These are the monster cards. So the first card is going to be Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. So what this card does is, this card cannot be normal summoned or set. This card can only be special summoned by removing from play 1 light and 1 dark monster from your graveyard. Once during each of your turns, you can select and activate one of the following effects. Remove from play 1 monster on the field, and if you activate this effect, this card cannot attack during this turn. And if this card destroyed your opponent's monster as a result of battle, it can attack once again in a row. So this card is a really strong boss monster, or not anymore, but like it's a good form of removal. And it does teach newer players mechanics of how cards work, special summoning, all of that. So I think this is a card that all super budget and all brand new players should have. And as for the price, it's approximately 30 cents for the common, and I think there's a rare version for like 22 cents or something like that. Now, the higher rarities like this one are like a couple dollars, but again, go low. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice to budget players, new players, all that. Go lowest rarity as possible. I know we all like shiny things, but sometimes if you just want to get the card and learn how it works and all of that, and they have a low rarity, get that. Once you get good with the card, once you get good with the deck, then from there you can go ahead and upgrade your cards. So the next card is Chaos Hunter. What this card says is, when your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you could discard 1 card, special summon this card from your hand. Your opponent cannot banish cards. So this card fulfills a similar role to Artifact Lancia, which is a very prominent card for going against things like Dragon Link and other cards that are other decks that are heavy with banishing. And this gives a body on the field as well, in the form of a 2500, 1600 level 7 Fiend. So this card is pretty good. It's a free special summon. You could further your own Link plays with that. So there are a lot of applications with Chaos Hunter. As for her price, I believe I looked and it was about $1 for the commons. Next card. Blackwing Zephoros the Elite. If this card is in your graveyard, you can return 1 face-up card you control to the hand, special summon this card, and if you do, take 400 damage. You can only activate this effect of Blackwing Zephoros the Elite once per duel. Now, some brand new players may see this card and think, oh, that doesn't sound very good, why would I want to put my own cards back? It lets you reset your face-up continuous traps. For example, if you were using Fiendish Chain or something like that. Spoiler, Fiendish Chain will not be on this list, but that would be a good inclusion. But yeah, since it says card, it could be a monster with an effect, it could be a a trap card. It could even be a field spell. I believe, yeah, it has to be face up. So the thing with Zephoros the Elite is it's really cool because if the card that you're returning has a search effect, you are essentially able to get another copy of that. Yes, it's a once per duel, but not only that, it extends your plays to like so that you could use rank 4 plays and things like that. So Zephoros the Elite is a very underrated card now, although in the past it saw tons of meta play. So I like this card. The next card is Amano Kujaki. It's probably the newest card on this list. Excuse me. This is a common from Blazing Vortex. As you can see, it's a Fiend Tuner. You cannot activate the effects of other special summon monsters with the same attribute as this card. Once per turn during the main phase of this card's owner, quick effect, you can give control of this card to your opponent. Then, you, the activating player, can make this card become any attribute until the end of the next turn. So, what this card essentially lets you do is, so pretty much you can bait negates. So, if you summon this card, as a quick effect, you can just switch control of this card and make it become any attribute. So say your opponent has two water monsters that both have negates. If for whatever reason they don't negate this, you give them the control. Wow. You give them the control of the Amano Kujaki, and now they have a water monster that is turning off the rest of their water monsters for the turn, so that you're free to continue your plays. And if that's not the case, if they go to negate it, then you just burned a negate with Amano Kujaki. Again, worst case scenario, you can always use it as a level 3 tuner. So this card is very good as well. These are all of the main deck monsters. I do have one more card. Again, I talked about it already. Geonator Transverser. She's a link. She's a link 2. She takes 2 effect monsters to make. This link card and monsters it points to cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. If this card points to 2 monsters, you can switch control of those monsters. You can only use this effect of Geonator Transverser once per turn. So she's essentially a creature swap, and that's a really good form of disruption on your turn. It lets you take your opponent's problematic monsters if they're pointing to it. So say she's here and your opponent has a monster there and you have one here. You could summon anything. It could be a 0/0 normal monster for all you care. Just summon that there while it's pointing to another one of your opponent's monsters and just switch the control of them. Then you can use that monster to run over your own monster or anything like that. There's really no restriction on the card that you take either, so it could still use its effects and everything. So for me, Geonator Transverser is probably one of the best cards to add. Oh, also I realized I didn't say the prices of these 3. 15 cents, about 9 cents, and then this one was like 15 to 20 cents. So again, very cheap, very, very cheap. Next up, I believe we have the spells. So the spells, you'll see a lot of cards here have had some form of meta relevance in the past. So the first card, with the exception of one, matter of fact, we'll get that one out of the way first. The first card is going to be Blizzard. So this card says target one face-up spell your opponent controls. This turn, negate the activated effects of that spell and all spells on the field with the same original name. If the targeted card would be sent to the opponent's graveyard this turn, it is added to their hand instead. You can only activate one Blizzard per turn. Now I know what a lot of people are thinking. They're like, oh, this card is like 30 cents for a reason. It's a waste of a hollow slot. But that's not actually true. This card actually can help negate a field spell for a turn. This card can help negate... Again, it's similar to Red Reboot in the sense that it gives the opponent the card back. Versus in Red Reboot's case, it being a counter trap and then setting another trap to their side of the field. But this card, it puts the spell back in their hand, so yes, they'll have it next turn, but they can't activate it for that turn, so hopefully you'll be able to close out the game. There are some applications this card just needs experimentation. Sometimes would it be better to just have the Cosmic Cyclone? Sure. However, that card is too expensive for this list, so we're here with Blizzard. and Blizzard, like I said, is approximately a 30-cent card. The next card, Shared Ride. For the rest of this turn, each time a card or cards is added from the main deck or graveyard to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them, immediately draw one card. You can only activate one Shared Ride per turn. That last condition doesn't matter because certain times, like, you'll just be constantly adding cards, constantly. If you can't afford an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, this is like the max C version of that, for adding cards. So I do recommend Shared Ride. There was a time that this card was used against Nekroz for a long time. This card is approximately 15 cents for the common. I believe it's about $1 for the gold rare, though. Next, Mind Control. Target one monster your opponent controls until the end phase. Take control of that target, but it cannot declare an attack or be tributed. The tributing and the attack don't matter. You can use it to link, you can use it to synchro, you can use it to exceed, and in rare cases you could use it to fusion. This card is very good. There's not too much to say about it. It's like the super watered down version of Change of Heart. The card is approximately 40 cents. Twin Twisters. Also in this slot could be Mystical Space Typhoon. Twin Twister says discard one card, then target up to 2 spell or trap cards on the field, destroy them. Plain and simple, you discard a card. Sometimes that helps get a graveyard effect, but the best case scenario is you destroy multiple back row. Field spells, continuous spells, pendulums, doesn't matter. It just destroys them. And the last spell card, this card is approximately 60 cents. The last card is Forbidden Chalice. This card says target one face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn. That target gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. This is a baby version of Forbidden Droplets, and matter of fact, you'll see some meta decks with this card. It's approximately 30 some odd cents. The hollow version is $1 or $2. But again, that's all the spells. They're pretty straightforward. They all add so much utility to your game. Alright, and lastly, for the last 5 cards, we have the traps. The first one being Grand Horn of Heaven. It's a counter trap. During your opponent's main phase, when they would special summon a monster or monsters, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. Then your opponent draws one card, then end the main phase. So not only does it apply some serious pressure to your opponent by negating the summon, it will actually give you a drawback by giving your opponent a card. Now, I know that sounds bad, but it ends their main phase. So they're either forced to go straight into the battle phase or go straight to the end phase of the turn if they don't have a battle phase to do. So this card can be used in many applications that the Solemn cards could be used. Mostly Warning or Judgment. Next up is Torrential Tribute. This one sees all kinds of meta play right now. When a monster or monsters are summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. Super straightforward, old school card, great. It's been reprinted many times in the Zombie Horde structure deck. Matter of fact, this one is from Structure Deck MP. I don't actually know what that is, but I know it's a structure deck, so there's plenty versions of this card available. Next up is Storming Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, return all attack position monsters your opponent controls to the hand. This is a very easy way to remove cards, like a blanket removal for your opponent's attacking monsters, and also it will save you from being killed that turn. There's not too much to say about it. The prices of this, 13 cents, 9 cents, and Storming Mirror Force, Torrential is the one, this one's 9, this one's 13, and Storming Mirror Force is the one that says it's about 30 some odd cents for the lowest rarity. This rarity is about $2. Moving on, we have Debunk, another counter trap. When a monster effect is activated in the hand or graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, banish it. This card is very similar to Called by the Grave, except that it's a counter trap, so it's even harder to respond to. I personally really like this card. I know that I first discovered it because the locals we went to, Max and I, had a lot of Burning Abyss players, and the issue with that is they activate a lot of effects in the graveyard. So I found that siding in 3 copies of this when when I didn't have any copies of Called by the Grave actually saved me a bunch of matchups. Um, it's it's a common from the Zombie Horde structure deck. You could just get, I think they're under 20 cents. Truthfully, they don't cost a lot at all. Next up, last card, Imperial Iron Wall. Neither player can banish cards. It's a continuous trap. This card serves a similar purpose to Chaos Hunter minus the body on board, and a similar purpose to Artifact Lancia minus the fact that again, it's a continuous. So those have been the budget cards that I think every budget and new player should own that are under $1. Everything on this list you can find on TCG Player for literally under 15 cents, 50 cents, sorry. And definitely under $1 for the couple that aren't under 50 cents. I think everybody should just own a playset of these cards because of the fact that if you're teaching someone how to play, if you're learning yourself, if you are net decking and you don't want to buy 3 copies of Ash at 20 some odd dollars each, you could have 3 copies of Shared Ride. Yeah, it's not as good, but you get to dig your resources. So they serve similar purposes, but not the same. So you could always appreciate why there is a better card. None of these are a perfect one-for-one replacement for anything in the meta, but in my opinion, they are some of the better choices for super cheap cards. If this video does well, we'll go ahead and we'll drop some more cards that every player should have that are a little more expensive. We could probably go up to about the $5 mark for that video. So let us know if this is some content you'd like to see going forward. I've been Devon. You guys have been awesome. Catch you guys on the next one.